Hey, good morning. Uh, Welcome to 6Bears 3D Printing Live. I am trying to go live every day at 11. I'm going to try to be scheduling a little bit. This is still new to me. This will be my second day, but we'll see how it goes. Um, hopefully things go well. Um, if I'm not on at 11, that does mean that something's come up. Life comes at you sideways every once in a while. And sorry, I have a message. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm still trying to work at the same time while I'm live. So when you're looking at me here, the projects you see me working on are for customers most of the time. Sometimes they'll be for myself too, though. Yes, my desk is an absolute disaster right now. I have so many things going on. One of the things I'm going to be working on today, we're going to be trying to finish up some of these beer steins for the Marines that I'm working on. We're going to be taking a little bit of a tour. I'm going to show you some random things that I didn't show you yesterday. There's not a lot. Mostly we're just going to hang out. We're going to BS a little bit. I'd like to observe a moment of silence for the young man that got shot yesterday. That's absolutely the most pitiful thing I could imagine, and the most cowardly thing I could imagine. May he rest in peace and God rest his soul. I pray for his wife and children. I hope that things go well for them. It's going to be tough on her and the kids. But that's enough of that. I try not to talk anything political. I don't want to talk too much about that. It tends to alienate people. So we don't want to do that. So we're gonna kind of stay out of that on this channel. If I can. I mean, sometimes we might get into a little bit, but that's okay. Because we need to understand that we can have a difference of opinion. We can like different things. We can have different points of view and still be friends. That's okay. That's what makes our relationships interesting. We don't have to agree on everything to be friends. But, that's just how it is. Hey, I'll tell you right now, me and my wife don't agree on everything. We've been together for almost 34 years. I don't know how she puts up with me. She deserves sainthood. But it's like that sometimes. So, all right. Well, look. Hey, check out. Look, for those of you, this may be your first time seeing one of my videos. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about my desk. Look at this mess. Look at that. My desk is an absolute wreck. At any given time, you're going to come across my desk and you're going to see the strangest things. You're going to see things that people ask me, what are you doing? I'm kind of like the mad scientist. I'm always coming up with something. This is a working Star Trek communicator. I built it. It works. And then I thought, I can do it better. So I took it apart. I'm redesigning the chips. I got some new and improved chips that I'm putting in it. This is going to be pretty cool. I found some new Bluetooth chips. It's an Arduino Nano that has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on them. So this was just an MP3 player, but now we'll have access to like Amazon Music. It's going to be really fun. I know it's kind of crazy, but I have a Star Trek set that I built. It has a tricorder, a phaser, and a communicator, and they all have their own little functions that work. It's a lot of fun. Oh, look at that. Something my daughter made me out of resin. I turned it into my paintbrush holder. I know, I'm rather proud of it. But I make so many different things. Right now I'm making holsters for 1911s. Look, they're all over my desk too. Tons of them. This is one for an ex-Marine from making his right now. When they're done, they look like this. They are extremely effective. I come across them because I'm kind of a big guy, and even a Kydex holster has too much material, so it tends to dig into the side. My wife and I have the tactical, they're like a cloth holster. with some plastic reinforcements. Don't like those either. They don't hold your pistol well. So I designed a new holster. I carry a 1911, and I thought, well, it's a heavy pistol. Most holsters can't keep it safely. So I designed one that when you put it in, it holds it. Because if you're even just getting out of your truck, you don't want it to hit the ground. It doesn't matter if it's a Kimber 1911, a Sky 9mm, a Ruger. I don't care if it's a $100 gun, a $1,000 gun. You've invested your money in it. So your holster should keep it safe. So I sat here and designed them. Now the holsters I'm designing fit to the geometry of your pistol. They are custom. I do custom felt lining inside, so it will not scratch the finish. It locks the pistol to your hand, to your holster. I mean, not your hand. I know, sorry, I misspoke. But when you pull the lock, see, can't pull it all. But when you unlock it, it puts your finger on your guard. Now, not everything I make's like that, you know. I do pistol grips and all that kind of stuff too. But one of the fun things I do is I print in actual wood. This is a 3D printed wood pistol grip for the 1911s. Yes, I put a Mandalorian mythosaur skull. And I do them in walnut, cherry, maple, all kinds of fun stuff. But, you know, I have the weirdest thing sitting on my desk. If you look to the right, well, this is interesting. There's weird stuff sitting over here. Check this out. Check this out. I'll let you take a look. Yeah, there we go. That's just random stuff that I have sitting over here. One of my followers a while back sent me from the Ruby costume company. They sent me a Freddy Krueger glove. It was okay. It was okay. But it was very plain. The details were bad. The knives looked like butter knives. But it was official. But I said, no, I can't live with that. So I made one of my own. Now, this is not for show. This actually is wearable. Look at this. You can take this and you can wear it. I'll aim it this way so you can see a little better. Now, what I decided to do, and my goal in a lot of my 3D printing, is I want to see how far I can push the limits of 3D printing, the tolerances. When I say tolerances, I'm talking about how much force you can put on a joint or a hinge and it not split. Because, you know, that's one of the things in 3D printing is what can you get away with? How much force can you put in a certain stress point? Well, this is a very good example of a stress point. When I built this, these are a heavy stress point. Because if you didn't do it right, these rivets are all plastic. I designed these rivets, and they're what we call plastic welded, which is taking in the plastic I use a soldering iron. You can actually buy a plastic weld tool, but I just use a soldering iron. And you melt the rivets, and they melt, but yet they allow motion. You can see them here in the hinges, two sides, just like a real rivet. Something I've been experimenting with quite a lot, and it's fun just to see if I can do it. Now, would a metal pop rivet be easier? Absolutely. I mean, you know, they're cheap, they're fast, it would work. I just wanted to see if I could do it. And this is what I came up with. Now, these are, if you ever heard of a lettuce knife, they're plastic. My wife has one. It's green, a little booger sharp too. It'll cut a lettuce fast. And they call it a lettuce knife because a metal knife will oxidize your lettuce, turn it brown. So it's kind of fun. Well, I took the same idea. So when I made these little boogers, they are sharp enough to cut a head of lettuce. So they're not, they would hurt, they're pointed sharp, but they're not sharp enough to hurt you. But I could do this on a head of lettuce, and I will cut it. So, yeah, it's kind of fun, you know, kind of fun. A little fun, a little creepy when you do the old Freddy Krueger maneuvers, like, rah. And I love going like this, like Freddy Krueger did. Yeah. Now, this glove, this is kind of, I'm going to be stuck if I make these for people. I'm going to be stuck with a lot of left-handed gloves because I bought them as a set. This is how it started. This is how it ended up. Now what I do is I cut the glove apart, and ironically, now if you ever do this, super glue, which as you know acts as an instant skin bond on human skin because it was used in World War II, is how for medical purposes. Will do the same thing on a leather glove. You do not need to stitch. This band, for instance, was cut from the material that I cut out of here and then super glued across here and here on these pieces. What it did, it won't let go. All of these extra pieces, this is all built with super glue. And it holds. Let me tell you, it holds. So if you're in your crafting and you've ever tried to figure out, wow, how do I put that together with the leather? Try a little super glue. It's actually working quite well. Well, as you can see. Now, over here, you'll notice we have Tony Stark's heart. It has what you call a Hall sensor. If you've not experimented with Arduinos and sensors, you should really get into it. It pairs perfectly with 3D printing. Let me tell you. Check this out. This is a Hall sensor, meaning it has a bump sensor. So when I'm playing music, it flashes with it. But if you look, you bump that case, and it bumps. Now, it does come out of here. You can take the arc reactor out and hold it. Now, how many of you have an Alexa? Now, I am talking, not the new ones, the bubbles. I am talking about the hockey puck Alexa. They're kind of funky, kind of ugly. I got a white one. I've had it forever and ever, and I got tired of looking at it on my desk because, honestly, I actually kind of lost it. Stuff will get put on top of it, So I built R2D2 is my favorite droid in the world, okay? I've got a few of them that I built. I'll show you later. But this little R2 unit is my Alexa. Here, meet JNKR, not R2D2. I call him Junker. Oops, somebody's calling. Not sure. Let me check this call. Hello? Spam call. Anyway, I was hoping to catch some spam calls so I could shame them on live. Hilarious. So, this Junker, as I call him, actually I decided to get into him a little bit. He's not called Alexa anymore. Ziggy. What time is it?
It's 11:13 a.m.
Yeah, his name is Ziggy now. And it's a lot of fun. If you want the plans for this, just let me know. Because when you talk to him, hey Ziggy, the lights show up in here. It's a lot of fun to have on your desk. He's plugged in the back of the head. The head is posable.
I'm not sure how to help you with that.
Okay. Lots of fun. Now, down there, I don't know if you can really see it, but if you're familiar with, whoop, I closed the lens. You can see the TARDIS. Also can give you the plans for this. Now, this is an Arduino project. The Arduino project. LEDs inside. There's a digital clock. So when you build it, it lights up, keeps the time, and has all the little special effects. If you would like the plans for that, I'll happily provide those. Lots of fun to build too. It's actually quite a simple project that you can do with the kids if you got the kids and they want to learn it. It does require soldering, so if you have a soldering iron, the kids have to be careful. But I do a lot of soldering lately. I've been working on a special project. One of my favorite things in the world, the Terminator. Okay, the Terminator. My wife loves the Terminator. I love the Terminator. So I bought her the Terminator 2 arcade machine. We have an arcade over here. Over there. Back there in the corner. Behind, this is Optimus. He's back there in the corner. This is an Optimus I built. I'll show you him in a minute. But back here. So in the arcade, we have a Terminator 2 machine. And I thought, you know what? It's kind of plain. I need to put something with it. So I made a little bitty Terminator 2 skull, painted it up. Looks about that big, about the size of a softball. Look cool. And I was like, you know what? If I could do that, let me try this. I had seen Terminator 2 again, and I said, I want to build the arm and the brain chip, and I kind of sketched them out, and I was playing with it. But the first thing I did, I said, I want to build the skull. So I built the skull, and it was cool. But then I decided I had to bring it to life. Well, after having it for a while, a young man bought it, and I built the arm and the chip, and he bought the whole set. But I had drawn up new and improved blueprints. So this is the new and improved life-size Terminator skull. Now I do have the entire 6'5" endoskeleton ready, designed and ready to go. Oh yeah, he's alive. If you reach for him, he's not a big fan of reaching for him, as you can see. Now, the fun thing is, I got his voice modulator in, but they sent me a defective chip. So I'm trying to work on it a little bit, so that when you reach for him, he will also speak. So for now, it just sits up here on top of my shelf and freaks people out, because every time you walk by, he'll check you out. But don't worry, I've got a couple of voice modulators that I'm working with, trying to get it just right. Because what I did in a skull, there are holes called foramen. On the foramen, that's where like the arteries and veins pass through the bone. Well, on the foramen for him, which I did mold in, is where I hid the sensors. You see them right there. Those are motion and light sensors. So, see, he knows what I'm doing. Well, those sensors I can also connect into the voice chip, so that whenever it passes by, he'll speak to you. Well, we're working on it. Now, if that voice chip will ever cooperate, it'll be in there soon. I've programmed a couple of them, trying to figure out which one will perform the best. Let's see, here you go. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. They're having a little problem. So you have to be careful when you order these chips. A lot of companies won't take them back once you've taken them out of the box. So yeah, then this company won't either. So I'm kind of working on it. But when I get it, yeah, see, it's being touchy. But when I get it, I'll get it. See, here's one of the ones they sent. Look, it's got a burn mark on it. You guys got to be careful when you get into these Arduino projects. They can come secondhand, it seems like. It's not a common thing, but I've learned, a little caution is always good with this stuff. But, okay, I'm not sure what's going on here, but, and okay. Anyway, so now, as I was talking to you, as I was mentioning a second ago, the truck you see up there is an Optimus Prime that one of my followers a while back dared me to build, and I said, sure, I'll try. Well, I'll try to make an Optimus Prime. So I built that beautiful thing up here. Now he is a 300-piece Optimus Prime. It's fully functional. He fully transforms. So if you're new to 3D printing, let's talk about that a little bit while we're doing this. When you're getting into your 3D printing, you're going to find that you're going to go, well, what's my limit? What can I get away with? What's the limit of building? Well, let me tell you a secret. There is no limit to what you can make. But there is a limit to the tolerances, the things that it will tolerate. When it comes to motion, resistances, And this was a good example. The shoulder joints, knee joints, things like that, the load-bearing joints of this construct. When you're building, you got an infill in your 3D printing. That infill will often determine how strong something is on the joint, how much stress you can put on it. I snapped a lot of joints learning that as I was building this at the beginning. So now I've got a lot better grasp on it. So when you're doing it, don't be surprised if you snap a lot of stuff. Don't get down on yourself. Let me tell you, you're going to waste a lot of material. The learning curve is very steep. But once you get it, once you're dialed in, you can make some of the most fantastic stuff you've ever seen. I'll show you some of the stuff I've gotten away with. As I call it, I got away with it. I made it. I did it. Because I didn't think I could. This big fella, this is one of them. Now look, in this position, he's about 18 inches long, closer to 20. When he's in standing up, he stands about 2.5 feet. I am building the trailer. The trailer's almost 3 feet long, so together they're a little over 5 feet. So the trailer doesn't sit on my desk. It's too big. As I build the parts for it, they're building in my arcade over there, sitting on top of the air hockey table. It's too big for everyday positioning. Let me put him somewhere where you can see this, because my desk is a shambles, my friends. It is a shambles. Simply because I just have so much to do. I enjoy the craziest projects too. Anything, there's nothing off limits. Here's a good one for you. I have a really nice lady out of Slidell, Louisiana. She gets in touch with me, says somebody recommended me to her. She says, I need you to 3D print crawfish pies. You need me to what? Okay, absolutely. So she brought me a couple of them, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're the tastiest thing I've ever had. Whoops. So if you're ever around there, look. All you got to do is look for Delightful Merriment crawfish pies. Definitely get one. That is amazing. So to make them look real, but she needs artificial, because they're frozen. She can't take them out like to a craft show out in the heat down here. It's not good. So it's an unusual request. Now I'm actually having a really good time doing it, just because it's something different. That's always a big deal. Now here's Optimus. Not here. Ah, yes, there you can see. I'm might get a second camera set up. I think it'd be better. This is the big boy. Now let's set him up. Let's put him together so y'all can really see him in his full form, and you can appreciate what I'm talking about. The tolerance is, for instance, in these joints. When you're pulling this apart, if you had a weak joint, a low infill, like say 25%, that sounds like a lot. It even looks like a lot on the screen. In reality, if this is less than 50%, it's going to snap as soon as you pull, because this is very tight. If you have a low tolerance on that joint, it'll be loose, weak, and snap almost immediately. You see, you don't want that. You got to be careful. So his hips, his load are the load-bearing point. So if you have these hips and these sockets in here, if you're using a material that is not strong, for instance, this is not standard PLA. Let me introduce you to another material. This is a 5% powder aluminum infill plastic. It gives a little extra strength and weight. A beautiful kind of metallic shine, like a very real metallic. But it also adds strength, so that the joint in that spot has a lot of strength to it. So let's get these hands and arms out real quick. There you go. There's a lot of stress in these spots when you're pulling. You can't be gentle. If you're too gentle, you'll never get this done. You have to do this. See, the body has to elevate, it's got a twist to put him around where he belongs. When you're building and printing, you're going to have to think of these things. It is a lot of fun. It can get very frustrating at times. Don't let it get to you. You are going to break things. You're going to have failed prints, and it's just the nature of the beast. It's the way it's going to happen. No matter what you do, no matter how good you think you are, it's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of waste. But it's worth every minute. And if you're patient and you take your time, you will create things that people will look at you and go, I can't believe you can do that. That's very rewarding. See, you push it back, you had to lock it in. I mean, things have to work. So when you do these things, this is when we're talking tolerances. There's nothing but pins holding all this together. No screws, no metal. Those pins had to hold the weight. And now you can see what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the size of it. He's quite large. For plastic, he's heavy, a couple of pounds. I mean, his rifle goes there. I left it in the game room. Otherwise, I drop it all the time. Completely articulated and flexible. Even his toes are flexible. So if you go to build large items, just remember, you got to deal with weight, you got to deal with structure, and you got to deal with the tolerance of what's going to hold it together. But as long as you're patient, you're going to create wonderful items that your friends and family are just going to ooh and ah over. And you can sit here and you can have a good time with them. I'm not going to lie, I pose him up and take pictures and send them to people just as a joke. But I decided to make his opposite, Nemesis Prime. When Optimus turned to the dark side, so to speak. Now, one thing that's nice, all the mistakes that I made on Optimus, and I did make quite a few. You know, he was my first attempt at something of this nature. He is by no means perfect. He turned out better than he should have for a first attempt. But, you know what? We'll kill this light. There. It's a little better for you guys. On this one, I'm learning all the different tolerances. Changing up the materials a little bit. I'm using a material called TPU. It's a heavy, kind of a rubber that you print with. It makes tires. That's what the tires on this one are made of. But on not every joint, but on some joints, I went from plastic, and then when the ball prints, I made the ball of TPU, so it would pop in, and it wouldn't scuff or lose and it gained traction. It wouldn't get loose in there. I'm trying that, and it's working on some of the joints. So we're going to try it and see if it's durable. If it's not, I'll just reprint the part. That's the beautiful thing. If you make your own collectible, you can print anything that doesn't work or gets broke. But now, so far, no paint, except right here on the windows. That, just because I wanted to highlight it, but that's it. You can get away with no paint on most of your prints, as long as even if you don't have a multicolor printer, as long as you're willing to you take your slicer. You have to learn how to slice off the details. Now, not every slicer can do it. I highly recommend the Prusa slicer. It's absolutely free. It's an open software. It uses every platform. Now, he has a brand of his own printers, but it's an open software. He lets it work for every printer. It is the most versatile software that I've ever tried. And I've tried almost every slicer out there because, I had to try it. You can't get any better. You can't. You complete control over your slicing moments. You can customize your supports, your cuts, everything. and do amazing things with that stuff. If you're not using a Crucial Slicer, you need to try it. Okay. I have no sponsors for my videos, by the way. I'm telling you what I use. Over time, I tried this, I tried that, I tried everything I could think of. And like my printers, all of my printers are now Elegoo. I went through Creality, I went through G-Tech. And when I got my first Elegoo Neptune, that was it. I was over. I've got Neptune 4 Pros, Neptune Maxes, Neptune Pluses. Then I've got the Saturn 4 Ultras. I've got the Saturn 2. And then see that closed door by BB-8? Now I've got specialty multicolored printers in there. They're the ones that have multiple heads, and they waste a lot of material. So I don't break them out unless I've got something special that I need done that way. They take the material, and when they switch color, they go off and they spin out the other color, and they go back and print a little bit, go back and spin out that color. It's called a waste tower, and it just wastes a serious amount of material. You'll use so much more material for an object, so it's worth it. Sometimes you could have got away with doing it another way. One sec. Look, you gotta have coffee. It's the go-go juice of life. Let me get Big Boy here and put him up, or I knock him over, because I'm good about doing that. Ooh, he took a nosedive off the shelf. Yeah, you can see the size of him there. He hit the floor. Woo, there's so many pieces. I almost cried, but I got him back together. See what I mean? Occasionally, things happen. And they're going to do it when you don't want them to, like everybody can see. That's okay, though. One of the repairs let go. I just got him back together, too, so it's brand new repairs. Yeah, that's funny. That's okay. Oh, that's one of the other. I guess one of the stress points I didn't realize had let go in that fall. I just found it. That's okay. Only 3 pieces fell off out of over 300. I'll take it. I'll have him back together in just a few minutes. What am I doing? That's not my coffee cup. Well, it's not my coffee cup, but I can show you what it is. So I make these mugs for Marines. And my buddies made this for a Marine who was in Vietnam. He was quadriplegic, and his wife wanted something to, as a present. So I made this, and then I just gave it to her. I said, look, tell him thank you. He was a Vietnam vet, so I made this for him. Now I painted it up. This is just another one. But I've got some really great guys that are going to the Naval Ball. This is the 250th anniversary for the Marines this year. So I decided I made this for him. This is what they're taking to the ball. I hand make these. These are 3D printed and hand painted, doing a steel insert with a resin cord behind it to hold that insert and make this watertight so it doesn't leak in behind the insert. The insert doesn't come out. See? Now, when you're making something like this in 3D printing, you're going to be amazed at the filaments you can find, but I use a BPA-free, FDA-approved, food-grade PETG plastic. Yes, that's a mouthful to describe. But what it means is it's dishwasher safe, bacteria free, and you can use it day in and day out. It's a wonderful plastic. It's phenomenal. But when you paint it, you have to use a clear coat, to keep the paint solid, keep it clean. You don't want this chipping off when you're trying to drink out of it. Yeah, but this is the projects that I'm working on currently. So getting ready to start finishing another one. See, airbrushed in, as you can tell according to the globe, airbrushed in all the brown, then airbrushed in the black, then trimmed it up, and I'm starting to go in and finish it now. and then we'll see how far we get today. Now, most of these lives are not going to be more than, say, 45 minutes to an hour, which I'm 35 minutes in. Holy crap! But that's because I'm still new. I'm learning, and hey, honestly, don't want to bore you to death. No, I'm just kidding. I want to. When I was learning about lives, they did say to keep it to a certain length, that it would maintain people's interest better. So I'm learning. Hey, I tell you what, join me on the journey, as they say. We're going to figure this out together, because you can't teach an old dog new tricks, they say, but I'm going to tell you, you can teach an old bear. So let's see what happens. But now listen, I'll tell you why we're called 6Bears. I've been called Bear my whole life. My last name, Barrett, means bear-like. So I was called Little Bear or Baby Bear when I was growing up. And then as an adult, my friends have often called me Bear. My kids call me Papa Bear all the time. My license plate even Papa Bear. Now, so there's my wife, who we call Mama Bear, or Dragon. She's the dragonfly. Dragonfly is a Chinese symbol for eternal love. So, wrong way with the camera. So this just says, Bear loves dragonfly. And then my kids are my baby bears. So there's 6 of us. So we're the 6Bears. That's where 6Bears comes from. I get often asked if it's a Native American title, and I'm like, no, but that would be nice. It'd be honorable, but no. It's just because there's 6 of us. Nothing so different. All right. We are going to get rolling on a little bit of paint for today. Now, when you're painting your 3D prints, first of all, when you're painting anything, I don't know if you paint plastic models, for instance. Did you know that when you paint a plastic model, you should always wash it in dishwater first? Make a fresh sink of Dawn water and wash all your parts. Did you know that? Here's why. There's injection molds to make your model parts. Well, there's a coating called mold release. It keeps the parts from sticking to the molds. Well, it's on your parts. Wash them and your paint will actually stick better. Well, same thing goes for these. The plastic, when it comes to you, actually has like a coating on it. It's hard to tell. And it doesn't necessarily come off in the heat process when you print. So if you go, I give it a quick wash, and the paint sticks better, like a lot better. Especially on the silky, shiny filaments. Man, those are hard to paint. Those are a pain. But it is what it is, of course. It can be very challenging sometimes, to say the least. All right, let's get the paint on here. All right. Now, if you guys ever use these acrylics, they're phenomenal. One thing you might learn though, you try to paint with them, they're kind of thick. They kind of just smear. And you're like, oh, these are crappy paints. Well, here's a trick. They're meant to be diluted if you're painting on plastic with them. It's a craft paint. Craft paints are thick by nature. They do that because when you're painting on, say, wood is very porous. It soaks it up. But craft paint has to seal the pores as you paint with it. So you've got to thin it out because plastic is not porous like that. So it just kind of smears across it. It doesn't coat it like you want it to. A little bit of water won't hurt a thing. Now, if you're an airbrush artist, or if you're just learning like me, I'm still new. I figured out that you can use these thick craft paints in an airbrush. But what you have to do is use airbrush thinner and thin the craft paint down to about like milk. It's got to be very thin. Now, try not to use water so much because the water just gets everything wet. it alters what you're painting, but it's just soaks it up. It's not painting. It's just getting it all wet. But if you use the airbrush thinner and mix it with your craft paint, it sprays out of there just like a bottle of airbrush paint, beautifully. It has worked for me many a times. Half the stuff around me was painted that way. Now, let's see. You know, I've been wondering about this. Let me check something. Does that do what I think it might do? Oh. Looks like they're not giving me access to some features. That's okay. Probably because I'm new. But you know what? I'm going to try something fun. So currently, I am working on printing a 3-foot Enterprise. I had one perfectly done. It's beautiful. But I've quickly found out that down here it's 107 in the shade. Well, when it's 107 in the shade, your things get destroyed at a craft show. So now I have to build the Enterprise again. And I will show you which one where I'm building if I can get this to work. There it goes. I will share this. Look at that. That is what I'm currently working on. You can see the dimensions over here to the side. I'll put them in inches. That is showing you that these are the warp nacelles. Check this out. The warp nacelles by themselves. Oh no, that's not right. There you go. Measure 19.4 inches. They're pretty big boogers. But they are going to print on an Elegoo Neptune 3 Plus. And then what you're seeing up here, the smaller parts are about to go on the Neptune 3 Pros. Well, Neptune 4 Pro. Now, you see it says Neptune 3 there. That's because you can run your Neptune Pros on a network. I have 3 of them currently running off a network on this computer. And then I got these running on another network. So it's really handy too, let me tell you. All right, I'll turn that screen share off real quick. That's pretty cool. Oh wait, yeah, let's turn it off for a minute. Then we're going to try something else. I'm kind of fiddle farting around. I just realized something. That I might be able to do something really cool. We're going to try it. I've never tried it. All right, let's see. All right, turn it around. All right. And now I'm going to share a window with you. That's a window on a window. You're looking through my phone at the moment. Now, wait a minute. I don't want to see myself. That's not what I'm trying to do. Well, I'm trying to share the front camera with you, and I don't think it's going to work. But I still think I could show you what I'm trying to show you. There we go. I got it. All right. Check this out. I can take you on a little tour, it looks like. These are some small Mandalorian statues that I've been working on. Over here, you can see that part of the 3-foot Enterprise. This is the saucer section. Working on it. This is the main body that's printing. Oh, look at that. That's a crawfish pie right there. Rocking and rolling. Gotta love it. Now, I'm going to take you over here. This is one of my favorite 3D prints that I've done to date. He is my magnum opus of 3D printing. 2.5 foot tall statue. He's completely resin printed. He's airbrushed and hand painted. I'll give you a little up close on that face. Now the base of it is, this is filament, this is resin. There's real moss and lichen on it as well. And then it's 2-component UV cured resin to do all the blood that you see. Here's more of that 5% aluminum infill. Look how beautiful that silky shine is on that metal. You can't beat that. Now this, on my website, you'll see a page called LOLs. That means my labors of love. That's when I get bored. I make things like giant spaceships. I just couldn't resist. Like a very large Viper from this movie Battlestar Galactica. Opening cockpit, you know, it just happens like that. You get bored. 3D printers are fun. They're dangerous if you're creative. You got to have a good time with them. I have a new shelf going in this section soon, so everything will be much better displayed. I really love the movie Aliens. So, you know, I got xenomorphs everywhere. Gotta love them. Now, but here's something that gets to a lot of people. The life-size space hugger that sits on my shelf and waits for you to walk by. Fully posable, fully wearable. If you look, you'll see the tail hanging down. Everything's posable. Kind of freaks people out a little bit. As you can see, I'm kind of into Legos. I do Lego beta testing for a company. These are off-brand Legos. They send them to me to test. I can't tell you for who. That's, you know, part of the contract. Here's Meet My Venom. This is a helmet for you to wear. There it is, the Venom skull. Now, before you go, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of a couple things you might like. This is what I call the Haunted Lantern. Now, this is completely printed in white PLA plastic, okay? Hand painted. The candle is what we call the Haunted Lantern. So all you do, you blow on it and the candle comes off, and it goes up. The air currents in the house will cause that candle to activate on its own. So the dungeon lantern just does its thing. So you can kind of peek in there. You can see, yes, you can see the famous game room everybody's always talking about. I'm not sure if you can hear the mic through the phone or just the computer, so I hope you've been able to hear me. This is an experiment. This is a big experiment. We're going to see what happens. This is a first-time thing for me, and we will see. I'm going to stop sharing now. Bada bing. There we go. I hope that little tour worked out well. This is kind of fun. We will get a full tour of the arcade and everything, all of the collectibles that are hiding in there on another stream. Because, you know, I can't give you everything in one day. That ain't no fun. But right now, did a little walking, gonna do a little painting. Man, listen to that. People just be talking on my phone. But now, if you are looking for a way to get into designing in 3D and you've never done anything like it, if you've got no experience at all, let me make a recommendation that will go along with it. There is a website completely free. You may or may not have heard of it. It's called Tinkercad. Now, I know if you've heard of it, you might be going, oh man. But let me tell you, Tinkercad is way more than you think it is. Because everybody says, oh, it's so childish, it's basic, blah, blah, blah. You see that Optimus Prime? He was made in Tinkercad. This was made in Tinkercad. In fact, most of what you see that I make, hundreds of things that I've done, are done in Tinkercad. Now, I did learn Blender and Fusion. I did, because there are occasionally times when they are the top. You need them. But I'm going to tell you right now, you can get away with probably 75, 80% of your stuff in Tinkercad, as long as you're patient. Sure, sometimes it's a little more difficult to do some of the work in Tinkercad. It is. I mean, that's true. But those few times, it's worth it for all the rest of the times that are just so much easier. Okay? Because you will save time. Oh, man. Now, there's pros and cons. One small con to Tinkercad. Once in a while, and I don't know why, there's things that show up in your design that are unexpected, are called artifacts. They're random things you didn't put there. Tinkercad will slap an artifact in your design, a little extra piece sticking out, like a little point or something. Keep an eye out for your designs. When they do that, all you do is go in and just you can slice it off with your slicer or something, make it easy. But I've gone where I didn't catch it, and I printed it, and the piece was sticking out. Yeah. Beginners, I was a beginner. Well, I still call myself a beginner. Okay. I figure if you can't learn something every day, you're in the wrong hobby. And that means you don't love it. And if you don't love it, stop doing it. Because that's just dumb. I've done dragons and everything. So now, I mean, I'm not saying there's other stuff out there that's better, I'm sure, or at least just as good. I have no doubts. But I'm saying, if you're trying to learn, here's the beautiful thing. They offer free tutorials. They'll walk you through all the basics to the design process. When they do, you will actually create something that you can go ahead and print. So it's really cute. It's quite a lot of fun. Let me check my front door cameras. I got a dog. I got my big dogs outside barking again. I have Great Danes. They don't stay in the house. Well, because they're just, like during the live, because they're just too big. When they start barking, they're just too loud. Okay, my cameras are not wanting to activate. I may just have to go to the door. I'll be right back. I don't like doing this during the live, but I'm going to have to go walk over there and look. Yep, there's a whole lot of nothing. As we like to say, I guess a mouse farted 2 blocks away. These dogs seem to hear everything. They're a pain, but it's okay. I run a business out of my house, so I get a lot of packages. So when they show up, I have to be, alert. I need to go check them. I can't leave them outside. You don't want to lose your stuff. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Your Tinkercad is your best friend. Now, the beautiful thing is, at first I ignored some things. But I figured out that Tinkercad has some other uses that I didn't realize. You can learn all your coding for your electronics from Tinkercad too. You can learn it in block format or text format. Now I do text format because it sticks better. The block format is, I don't know why, I don't like it. But if you're trying to learn Arduino, doing the little projects, and you can't quite get it. You can build your circuits and test them without ever having the. You don't even have to go buy Arduino to learn it. Go to Tinkercad. They do the simulations, and the simulations are very accurate. The projects you build in Tinkercad with that software, you can turn around and buy the Arduino kits, build it, and it works. It's the same thing. And you can download the copy paste the code right out of it into the software that you're building, and bada bing, you got a real project from it. My Terminator came from it. I built the skull in Tinkercad, and I built the software in Tinkercad. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty easy to do. But so, oh, and it's down here where I'm from. I live in Mississippi. They actually they start teaching Tinkercad in high school, and the colleges teach it. So it's extremely fun to have. So if you've got kids, or even just for yourself, give it go knock around a little bit, try it out. I think you'll have a good time. And if you come across something that you don't understand, and you're just trying to figure it out, hey, hop on the Discord, hop on the Facebook, give old Papa Bear a ring. Shoot, my phone number's on the website. Call me. If I don't answer, leave a message. It just means I'm in the middle of something. I love to see people get into this hobby, and I will absolutely help you. So reach out. Back when I was a kid, we had to reach out and touch someone, jingle for the yellow pages. But I bet most of y'all don't even know what that is. It's a phone book. It was a yellow book, I'm sorry, I'm picking on the younger kids in the audience, if there were any. But hey, speaking of that, I learned something that was really funny the other day. Talk about generational gap. Guy walks up to his grandkids, and he said, "How do you show somebody you're on the phone?" And you know how when I'm in my 50s, so when I was a kid in the 80s, we went like this. How on the phone. Kids these days go like this to simulate a cell phone. I died. I'm like, I never thought of that. Never thought of it, because I still do this. Well, this is obsolete. Shows my age. I'm an old fart, right? You don't have phones like that anymore. He was laughing. He goes, I can't believe my kids went like this. I said, well, I should have went like that. Get that cell phone. Get that cell phone out your hand. But no, I was just, generational gap. Funniest thing I ever heard. I didn't realize that was such a difference. Took it for granted. But, oh yeah, you can have some fun. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, I love painting these things. They're a lot of fun, but there's a lot of detail, and you got to be careful. I go through a ton of paint on these. There's not like a lot of colors. There's like 9. But there's a lot of volume to it because of the size. Yeah, I got somebody in the chat said, watch when they try to do dial-up. They don't know what that. They don't know that sound. That'd freak them out. Probably thought the damn thing was haunted. I would have loved to be there the first time they heard that in person. Dude, be running for mom and dad. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. That would be great. God, remember okay. I'm going to date myself bad. Who in here remembers the 56K modem? When it was outside the computer, it was the box. If you had the box, you was king of the world. And then when we got the ones in the computer, we was hot stuff, man, let me tell you. And I remember tuning the modem. I would sit there and tweak that modem until I could get 51K out of a 56K modem. That was the best you could really pull. And my friends were like, you got 51K? How'd you do it? And it was the funniest thing, because that was a big deal. Now, if my computer operates at 51K, I'm going to throw it out the window. That's too slow, man. Now, see, I don't just 3D print. I do woodworking. I do that a lot. I also build underground computer systems. Now, what that means is I don't advertise, although technically I guess I am right now because I'm telling you all about it, but it's word of mouth only. If you want a system, you come hit me up. We talk, because I don't believe in pre-bought systems. I believe every computer is a personal item. So I build it personally for you. We sit down and we talk about what you're going to use it for. Because then I say, okay, well, if you want to do, you're going to watch a lot of videos and do a lot of designing or something like that, then you need a lot of RAM, you need a lot of drive. Oh, you're just going to watch YouTube all day. You're not going to really game and check. You're just going to check. You need some hard drive. We're going to customize it. We're going to make it for you. But it's called Necrotech Computing, and I call it Necrotech because I resurrect your gaming experience. Make it all about you. But, like I said, computers are a personal thing. They really are. See what? Yeah. That's rotary phones would be another good one to watch you kids with these days. Yeah. Kids walking there and trying to hit the button. Nothing. It's not doing anything. Dude, I could see a kid coming back spraining his finger from jabbing that thing. Man, that'd be funny. That would be pretty good. Worst Wolf, that'd probably be one of mine. Wait a minute, that might not be so funny. Nah, they'd figure it out. Now, the reason I can say that with confidence, well, wait a minute now. The first one might not. He's kind of dumb. No, I got some pretty bright kids overall. Now, my kids, you're not going to see them most of the time. You're probably never going to see them in these videos because they don't live around here. I've got 2 daughters in the Navy, twins. They're 19 years old. They've been in the Navy for a year. I've got a 26-year-old son that's a registered nurse. I got a 31-year-old son that last I heard was jobless and sitting at home. I don't know what he's doing these days. But I digress. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I get lost in something when I'm working on it. It becomes hard to focus on something else. So if I gap out like that for a second, just be patient. I didn't go nowhere. I didn't take off mentally, Dude over here, I'll buy that for $1. I think he's on RoboCop over here, man. He ain't wrong though. Hey, speaking of movies, anybody here want to go see that movie, The Long Walk? I have waited my entire life to see that movie. I'm kind of kidding. My grandmother was a Stephen King addict. Okay. Well, she introduced me to that, and I read all the Richard Bachman books, so I read The Long Walk, and I got addicted to that story. That story is terrible and fascinating all at the same time. I can't wait to see that. But if you haven't seen it, I'll let you know before I say anything about it when I go see it. That way I don't spoil it for you. I wouldn't want to spoil your night. There we go. I couldn't get any green out. Woo! Oh, look at that. I went up farther than I meant to on the time here. I apologize. I'm hitting an hour and 5 minutes, or an hour and 4 right now, but about to hit 5. So if you're still with me, thank you for sticking around for so long. Listening to an old fart sitting here, basically farting out of his mouth, just blowing hot air out, just farting around. Oh, Nose is stopped up. But hey, okay, guys, look. It is, I hate to see you go. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And this, they used to tell us all the time. But I'm gonna run. Got lots of work to do, and it's hard to, it's actually kind of hard to paint when you're talking because your hand vibrates so much when you have a deeper voice. It makes it hard to paint. But look, I will holler at you later. Y'all be good, and if you can't be good at it. Talk to you later. Bye. By the way, see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.